Hello and welcome to another Retfurb video. Today we look at this Kenwood A101 Toaster. We have a quick overview, strip down, rebuild, clean up, and then we'll test it at the end. So I purchased this toaster in working condition. I haven't actually plugged it in yet. I thought I'd strip it down first and just clean it out before I do. There's quite a bit of what looks like cat hair underneath, so I'll get that out before I turn it on. So from what I found out, the A101 was made after the A100 toaster. The A100 was the first product that Kenwood made, I think in 1947. This one was made in 1950's if I'm correct. I can't actually see what the difference is, to be honest. I'm presuming there must have been some sort of modifications or they just changed the model number for some reason. But it appears to be pretty much the same just looking at it. I think the main body of it is steel with a chrome plating. I don't think it's stainless steel. I'm pretty sure it's chrome plated, but I could be wrong. But just looking underneath where some of the corrosion is, it looks like it's probably worse than what it would be if it was stainless steel. I know you can get some pitting on stainless steel, but I don't think it is. I might be wrong, but just looking at it, it looks like it's plated. If anyone knows any difference, please do tell me. The handles and the feet are Bakelite, and that's pretty much it really. There's not a hell of a lot going on with it. As you can see, I'm working through stripping it down, just taking as much parts off as it is possible so I can clean it up easier. Initially I wasn't intending to go this far with it. I was just going to take the bottom part off, clean that up, clean the outside and sort of get in as best as I could. But as I'm going on, it's pretty simple to take apart, so I thought I might just carry on and clean it up, get in there a little bit better. Hopefully then it will give it a better end product. So this base part that I'm cleaning at the moment is quite greasy, so I've just got a bit of degreaser on that. Also there's sort of fine rust pitting on it, so I'm just trying to get that off as best as I can. Now I use a polish on this in a little while, which is a little bit coarse I think with the pad, so it leaves a haze over the surface. So you will see by the end this haze is sort of over the whole of the outside. So I am intending to go over it again with some finer polish. I'm just waiting for something to turn up in the post. It's not actually overly bad. When you look at it in person, you can hardly notice it, but the camera picks it up I think with a reflection on it. So it does make it look a lot worse than what it actually is. But obviously with the finer polish it will remove that, so they won't have any hazing on it. This is the polish that I was using. It's made by Autoglim, which is for metal, which I've never had a problem with it doing this before, but I'm sort of wondering whether the pad that I use is scratching it. I'm not sure, to be honest, but I've never had this issue before unless it's just got a bit old, maybe it's dried and made it a bit coarser, I don't know. But like I say, when I use the fine polish and a new pad, it will remove all this. This process involved in stripping it all down and polishing it and cleaning it and checking all the parts. It did take quite a while to do, to be honest. There's quite a lot of fiddling around, especially when it comes to putting it back in and lining up some of these springs inside. They just didn't want to go in, or when they went in then they popped out, so it did take a lot longer than what is actually shown on here. So this is the heating element part. I'm not sure what the material is that is on, but obviously the elements are separate from the metal frame, otherwise the current would go through the outer frame. So I'm not actually sure what that material is. It looks like a plastic, but it can't be because otherwise it would melt. But it's quite a good idea the way they've done it to keep it separate from the rest of it. So the live and the neutral wires just go to either of these terminals, and then the earth goes to the frame. So pretty simple idea, but it seems to work fine. Now it's time to strip down the main part of the body. This is pretty straightforward. When it comes to putting it back together, it's a little bit more of a pain, but you'll see that when we get there. Again with this part, just degreasing it and then going around with the polish to try and clean it up as best as I can. And now exactly the same on the other side, just removing that from the main frame, and then we can do the same with that one. To be fair to it though, considering it's 70 years old, it's still working and it isn't actually that bad condition. Once it's cleaned, you'll see that it comes up really well at the end of it. And now we come to separating this part of the frame. So this has just got two small tabs either side that hold on these side panels, and then the spring part comes out. So this is the top part on the underside of it, which has got a big rust scab underneath. So I'm just using a bit of tinfoil with a bit of WD-40 on it and just rubbing over that Obviously it will mark that area a little bit, but it will remove the rust, and then we can polish it up afterwards as best we can to hide that. But it is actually right up underneath, so you won't actually see it when it's in normal use. And you can actually see here where I'm fitting it back up that it's a lot less noticeable. It looks a bit greasy sort of where I've been touching it, but it's a lot better than what it was with the rust spot. So a lot of this now has been skipped. I spent quite a lot of time messing around with this, trying to get it back together, particularly when it came to putting the bottom plate back in. That part was a nightmare. These 4 springs that are on each side, they've got to be pushed into the base. They just kept popping out. So I spent a lot of time messing around in that area. You can see on this part at the moment it was sort of popped out, and I was trying to put some bolts in the bottom of the feet just to sort of hold one bit in place while I did the rest. But persevering, got there in the end. Now I'm just bolting the wire back in place, and that's pretty much it. Now for such a small item, I thought this would be a lot quicker to do this than it actually was. Like I say, I cut out loads of stuff whilst I was editing it, purely because it was taking me a while just messing around, doing bits and pieces, putting it back together. But yeah, it was a lot more involved than what I was expecting, to be honest. But it's worth it, it looks good. Makes it nice and fresh again for years to come. Obviously it'll be a decorative item rather than being used, but it's nice that it is in working condition. You can see in the video again the haze that I was on about from polishing. This will be removed when I use the finer polish and a new polishing head, as I've already mentioned a couple of times now. So that's it, all finished apart from the final polish. So now we can look at seeing it in action. So you can see here the elements glowing almost instantly when you plug it in. There's no switch to turn it on and off, it's literally plug it in the wall, and when the socket's on, it turns on. So let's do a quick toast test. Obviously that needs to be done before we go any further, and we can just confirm that it's all working okay. This is sped up now for time saving. To be honest though, it didn't take that long. It probably took, I don't know, 30 seconds aside, maybe a little bit more. So it is quite quick, to be fair to it. Hopefully now this will live many more years to come. It's come out really well, and the main thing, it toasts really well. Once again, thanks for taking the time to watch the video. Hope you enjoyed it. We hope to get more stuff like this on again soon. Please like and subscribe, and we'll see you on the next one.